the problem with any method of analysis of my life, like the process of analyzing my life, the big problem I have with it is that I'm far too quick to narrativize. Um, Life is just a narrative that we create in our head. Um, Everything that we do, our ideas, our actions, our relationships, are all like part of a grand narrative in our brains because we view ourselves as the protagonist, right? And it's actually very normal to view your life as this happened, this happened, this happened, and that's why I'm like this. Um, but the importance of those events are what create the narrative of your life. Propping myself up here. See, the problem I have, one of the reasons I live my life in such a chaotic fashion, is because I'm very quick to narrativize. I'm very quick to explain why I'm like this. I've never been any other way. I've always searched for purpose in my life, and purpose is really easy to find when you can like set it up as part of like a narrative. You know, this happened, this happened, this happened. Look, there's a story here. And I think everyone does this to an extent. But I think I do it to a greater extent than others. And it adds a lot of chaos to my life. When I was like 13, 14, 15, the way I narrativized my life was that of being a social outcast and having mental health nonsense. The classic depression anxiety combo. Probably got diagnosed with depression anxiety when I was 13, maybe 14. Depression was a little incorrect because later on that was amended to be bipolar type 2, but you know, that's how it goes for all bipolar people. My point is that in that section of my life, the narrative was, why am I depressed? It's because this happened, this happened, this happened, and because people treat me like I'm an outcast, I'm not included, I can't connect with other people as easily. It was a very easy thing to explain at the time. And now, looking back, it really wasn't that bad. Like, I know obviously because I'm not there, I don't feel the pain I felt at the time, but like, I did have friends. I didn't have a lot of friends, but I did have friends. And I didn't have a shitty life. Obviously, everyone has like traumas just growing up, right? Just existing in a flawed world. Bad things are gonna happen to you. I don't think that's like. I don't think I had anything particularly unique happen to me other than the usual, like, pressures of going to school, of living in a society that, like, demands that you work. I don't think I had anything, like, particularly unique in that aspect, but you know, it does hurt you, right? Like, school is inherently traumatizing. And that doesn't mean that it's like a bad thing for society. Um, I'm just saying, like, when you put a bunch of teenagers in a room together, they're going to hurt each other. When you put a bunch of adults in power over teenagers, they're going to hurt each other. It just happens. That's just the nature of the world. Not to justify any of it, but it's just how it is, right? Anyways, I'm getting way off topic. That was how I narrativized my life. Was this is how I've suffered. This is how I've like developed uh, my mental health struggles. So when I was 15, 16, really when I was 15, 16, 17, 18, probably even 19, um, I narrativized my life in the way of being trans and how that affected me. Um, my life was essentially consumed by that, right? By like, these are the events in my childhood that led me to like understand that I'm a gender and sexual like outcast. Or I guess minority would be more correct. I'm not of the usual variety, the usual cishet variety, and that was just how I saw my life. That was where the events that comprised my identity. You know, cross dressing when I was a young teenager, when it was fucking wanting to grow my hair out longer and shave my legs when I was really young. When I first started like going through puberty, all that like being such an intense moment of suffering for me. Um, that became how I narrativized my life. And when I was in high school, I think a lot of people saw me come out as trans and then saw me openly suffer. Um, I think some people might have thought it's because I was trans and that was making my life worse. But I think what it was I was finally being heard. My suffering was finally given like an avenue which to express itself, and I took full advantage of the opportunity given to me, and I was willing to like for the first time express how I like felt, you know, and because of that, it manifested in a lot of my negative emotions showing, and at the time I was like, this is like the second act, right? Like in a movie, this is where the protagonist is at the lowest moment, right before salvation and saving everything and becoming the hero. That's how I viewed high school at the time. I was like, okay, once I get out of here, I'll finally be free and I'll finally have my grand finale. Obviously that didn't happen. That's not how like lives work. Your life doesn't get wrapped up in a neat little bow and then the story ends, you close the book and then that's all she wrote, right? No, you continue to live. Uh and then shit goes good and shit goes south and that's just how fucking life is. So from like 15 to 19, that kind of defined my life. Um, being trans and how that like affected me. And immediately after that, what defined my life, like from 20, honestly until now, um, the primary narrative has been one of an artist, right? Of making cool shit. Um, my focus and what I constantly espouse, my belief I espouse on the internet all the time is that art is what I do. It's the thing, it's my shit, right? That's the reason I'm here, the reason I'm doing this is for the sake of art because I'm an artist, right? And it's very easy to narrativize that into my life. Like when I was a kid, I used to write, I used to draw. Obviously, that's like every kid does it, but I especially wanted to express myself, but felt a deep sense of embarrassment about it. Um, I remember a very like visceral memory of when I was probably in like third or fourth grade, maybe even fifth grade. Um, I wrote a story in my notebook uh, about a boy who had to dress as a woman and be a woman at school. And I remember after writing it, I had this deep sense of I can't let anyone else see this. I can't let anyone else see this. Uh, Unfortunately, I crumpled it up, ripped it, and threw it in the trash can because I didn't want anyone else to know. It was very, like, making art for me was scary because that meant that people would see me, people would view me, and that was really terrifying because I felt like there was something uniquely wrong with me, and if someone saw that, then it would be over, I guess, is what I thought. I think that feeling has persisted throughout my life is this feeling that, like, if I show the real me to the wrong people, um, they're going to hate me. And it's always been like that. Um, I think back to the many times when, I would hide being into anime or being into video games from my parents and other people in my life, not because I was doing anything wrong, but it felt wrong. It felt like a moral failing to watch anime on the TV. So, what I would do is I would hide my interests. I would go into my laptop and watch things there. I would never ever watch things on the TV unless I knew that nobody would be hanging around, you know? That's just how it always was. I think other autistic people, I think, understand that as well. Um, I haven't heard anyone talk about it, but it's been something that's crossed my mind quite a bit. Is I feel embarrassed for having interests, and I feel like I need to hide them, otherwise people know that I'm a total freak. What the hell was I talking about? I was talking about art and how I narrativize my life as an artist. You get the picture, right? Like, I can go into, like, how in high school I wanted to express myself in new forms and fashions. I wrote poetry, I wrote songs, um, I wrote this and that, whatever. You know, you know how that shit goes. I drew this and that. That's how being an artist is. And currently, I view myself as in like as as just getting to the third act, right? Like I've set out on my journey. I've had my lowest moments, and immediately after the lowest moments, I soar. I win. I beat the bad guy. I'm victorious over my mission. Um, because it's easy to see internet success and fame as victory, right? Obviously, it's not like that. Obviously, my life isn't like I didn't win. I'm going to find a new way to narrativize my life, if not soon, eventually, right? Because I've achieved what I've set out to do. I don't think it's wrong necessarily, but I try to be very cognizant that when I think about my life, when I analyze my life, because I constantly do. I don't know if anyone else is so in their own head about the the narrative of their life. Um, but I am. I think about myself all the time. I'm very self-centered in that aspect. But I think I narrativize more than other people. I think that's why my life to an outsider might seem incredibly chaotic and random, but it's it's it makes sense in my head.